What are Ethereal Shorekeeper's biggest pros and cons? That's what I'm here to tell you today. My name is Juice, and let's get into it. Right, we all know at this point that Shorekeeper is quite the strong unit, if not the best character in all of Othering Waves when it comes to pull value. And if there's anything that characterizes how strong this unit is, it's the fact that she provides some absolutely insane buffs. 12.5% crit rate and 25% crit damage whenever you fully maximize her ER requirements. That's really good. We don't have any other buffer in the game as of now that's able to provide that level of value through their buffs. She is the only 3rd slot teammate in the game as of now that's able to provide freaking crit rate and crit damage, and a genuinely substantial amount of it as well, and this is all down at S0. Her buffs are 1000% something to be absolutely reckoned with. There is no other character that provides this level of value, and to this day, these buffs are still very strong. We haven't really gotten an archetype in this game yet that doesn't appreciate this level of crit buffing. And so because of that, her insane crit buffing is really noteworthy. However, it doesn't just end there. She could just provide crit buffs and she would still be an absolute T0 masterpiece of a unit. But no, she also provides damage amp on outro for the entire team. Shorekeeper is genuinely the gift that keeps on giving. She's even able to buff the attack of your entire team through 5-piece Rejuvenating Glow and through Fallacy of No Return. And if you're playing her in Cardathea teams where attack buffs aren't really worth much, you're even able to use Bellborn Geocologne. Part of what makes Shorekeeper's meta value so incredible is not just the fact that she gives out so many buffs, but it's how powerful these individual buffs actually are. But I really need to place some emphasis on those crit buffs. That is without a shadow of a doubt the main reason as to why you would be using Shorekeeper. They are so powerful. Now yes, you may genuinely just need a healer because you would like some healing and comfort on your team, but the primary reason that you're going to be enjoying Shorekeeper is because of her buffing. It is just so good. And continuing on, Shorekeeper is not just amazing in 1 or 2 different teams, no, she works everywhere. There is not a single team in the game that you can name where Shorekeeper does not work, as in quite literally provides no value to the team whatsoever. Now yes, there are some very specific select circumstances in which she might not be your best choice, such as some Cardathea teams. Keyword, some Cardathea teams. Because you very much still can run Cardathea, Shakona, and Shorekeeper and do a very good job, especially at higher levels of Cardathea investment, or even in some older Phoebe teams. Because Phoebe already provides herself with so many inherent buffs, it was better to use somebody like Mortefi or Sanhua in the middle and have Spectre Rover on the end, as opposed to using Spectre Rover and Shorekeeper. And while that is indeed the case, she's still able to use Shorekeeper very effectively if you have Shakona to apply Spectral Frazzle, and even that aforementioned Spectral Rover Shorekeeper team is still good. The thing is, because Shorekeeper works in so many teams, I have to go out of my way to highlight situations in which she kind of isn't the absolute best, and even in those situations, she's still really freaking strong. In every other team, she is an absolute powerhouse. You're going to have her glued to your middle tower teams. She is so amazing for every main carry, it genuinely cannot be understated. And yes, Verena is indeed still a very strong buffer, but you absolutely are going to feel the difference between using a Shorekeeper and using a Verena in the same team. If you've been playing Verena in one team a lot up until this point and you're planning to pull for Shorekeeper, try Shorekeeper in that same team and you will be impressed with the performance upgrade. Yes, this is indeed a lot of Shorekeeper glaze, but she really deserves it, because she has proven her worth time and time again. Every new main carry that gets added, she is able to work with them. I genuinely would have trouble trying to think of a single main carry that Wuthering Waves has in the game right now that would be unable to use Shorekeeper or unable to benefit from her in any way, shape, or form. And it's not just like she works in every team and every team can mildly benefit from her while 1 or 2 specific teams really enjoy using her. No, that is not the case whatsoever. Basically, every team where she slots in, she provides a bucket load of value. And the reason why this is a really big deal is because this is one of those characters where no matter who you main, no matter what point your account is at, and no matter what type of player you are, she is going to be useful to you. If you're somebody that's not that good at the game and you just want a comfortable character to play that's going to make things easier, Shorekeeper is an amazing choice. But if you're somebody that really wants some high investment optimal runs, then Shorekeeper is still an amazing choice because of all of those buffs she provides. She is going to help you access the top performance for most of your teams. Now, in recent times, this has been a case that is being challenged a little bit, but we're going to get onto that a little bit later. I just really need to drive the point home that she truly works everywhere. There is no way that I could further state this. I would say the only time where her attack buffs are going to waste are in Cardathia teams, and even in those situations you have a workaround. She's also very free to play friendly because you're able to put her on Variation or that free weapon that you get from Facilio Falls and get by just fine. She also demands minimal resources in terms of investment, so you can get her hitting the ground running very quickly. But if you do invest a little bit extra into her, then her outro skill damage is actually not even that bad. This genuinely is a character that has it all. And then we also should talk about the fact that she's an amazing sustain. If you're somebody that does struggle with the game and you take a lot of damage, her healing is absolutely fantastic. She's going to take care of all of your needs in that regard. Now, to be fair, nowadays we do get a lot of second assault teammates that have healing built into their regular rotation, so simply being able to heal or shield really isn't that big of a deal anymore, because most units are coming with that already built into their kit. However, with that being said, Shorekeeper is still a very effective healer in general, and we've already discussed how she can fit into basically every situation that you can humanly think of. So certainly a great choice if you're in need of a healer. I should also discuss how her S2 is really good. The only exception to this would be Cardathia because she's an HP scaler, but Shorekeeper's S2 is able to provide 40% attack to everybody that's within her ult field. That's a lot of attack, and that is some really nifty buffing. If you're somebody that mains, say, Zani or Carlotta, this is a really nice point of high asteroid space investment that you can go for. This is especially relevant if you're a big account optimizer. Usually I prefer to recommend investing in sequence nodes for your main DPSs, because main DPS sequence nodes, especially nowadays, are very strong, and most second assault teammates, while they are strong, it's harder to justify going for their sequence nodes over your main DPS, because most second assault teammates tend to be very specialized. And we don't really have that many third assault teammates that are anywhere near as flexible as Shorekeeper. Now yes, her S2 does run into that issue where if you're playing somebody like Cardathia or any future HP scaler, because we'll probably get more down the line, the S2 is not going to be useful. But we have a very large library of characters that are able to very effectively use this S2. Many strong ones, might I add. Carlotta, Zani, you get the idea. Plenty of good ones. Thus making her S2 feel very strong in my opinion. Definitely worth investing into, whether that be through Astrites or your Corals. Now, we do have to discuss Shorekeeper's flaws, but I will be honest, I wouldn't really consider any of these to be major deal breakers. But what I'm about to talk about now is going to be the biggest potential deal breaker in regards to Shorekeeper. But I'm gonna be honest, even this shouldn't really deter you from pulling for her if you care about the meta. We do have more replacements for her now. What I mean by that is that it's not that we ended up getting more Shorekeeper, so to speak, where we got more and more flexible third slot teammates that are able to replace her over time, but instead, we got more specialized characters for more specialized teams. For example, triple element teams. I personally quite like triple element teams, as they give you more alternatives that don't require Shorekeeper, thus making it easier for you to build your other teams. But that's the thing, Shorekeeper is still really good in these. You can still very much use Forlova Cantarella and not have Roshia and get by just fine using Shorekeeper. You can still use Brant Wuthering Waves and Changli without Lupa and get by just fine using Shorekeeper. Granted, Lupa is a pretty big increase to that team, but Roshia, she's not as needed. You can very much just use Shorekeeper and be fine. But the point still stands that we are getting more and more good meta teams in which you're not going to need Shorekeeper. I still think Shorekeeper's an amazing pull because she can negate the need for you to go and pull these more niche units that only really have one or two use cases. And she's just always going to be useful. For as long as crit is useful, Shorekeeper is going to be useful. You just can't go wrong with her. However, it is true that if you really didn't want to pull Shorekeeper for whatever reason, there are enough existing specialized teams in the game now where you would not have to do that. If I were you, I wouldn't really go out of your way to deliberately avoid Shorekeeper. She's really good. But if for whatever reason you just really don't want Shorekeeper and you're just begrudgingly getting her because she's a super meta pick, there are triple teams where you can just ignore getting her. Triple Arrow Cardathia, Triple Arrow Gion, Triple Spectro Zani, and then of course Triple Havoc and Triple Fusion, which are the newer ones that are definitely designed around being triple element teams. So there are cases in which you don't need Shorekeeper, but she is still very freaking strong, I've got to admit. Then, next up, it's the fact that she's a little bit backloaded, but I don't really think this should be that big of a deal breaker. It can just be kind of finicky and quick swap teams is all. Essentially, you only get the max buffs of her Stellar Realm whenever the realm is golden. That's whenever you get both the crit damage and the crit rate. When it's purple, you're only getting the crit rate, and when it's blue, you're not getting anything from it. However, the game is built around intro and outro skills, and you're generally always going to be able to proc at gold very naturally when just regularly playing your character's rotations. Like I said, the only situation in which this is going to be a bit finicky is perhaps when you're playing quick swap teams, but but even in those comps, you will eventually get the golden still around for a good amount of time. Regardless, it's something worth noting. And she also has quite a long rotation. You ideally want to have variation or her signature weapon so that you're able to generate Conchero energy faster, so that you're able to swap off of her faster. But I'm gonna be honest, the long rotation is more than enough of a price to pay for the insane buffs that she offers. Even with how long her rotations can be, you're still gonna be getting clears faster than if you were not using her. I personally still think Shorekeeper is an absolute must pull even now. Okay, not a must pull, you can very much skip her. Take that phrase with a grain of salt. But even with that being said, if you care about the meta, I really do encourage pulling for her, especially if you main an attack scaling DPS. Because while we're getting more replacements for her, she's still not really falling off, because she can still act as a perfectly good substitute for those more niche teammates, and she's still a very strong slot in teams where she's not considered the absolute cream of the crop. Her pros just far outweigh her cons in my opinion. The highest value character in the game. I would say it's not even a question as to whether you should pull her or not in my opinion if you care about the meta. But how about yourself? Are you going to be getting her sequences, or perhaps pulling her for the first time? Let me know down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Hopefully this video was able to tell you Shorekeeper's biggest pros and cons. This has been Juice, signing out, and no wonder Kuro made her so strong, seeing as she was this first game's canon waifu.